It's the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL after 2 days of use now, and overall, I'm happy with it. I mean, I feel like I'm going to land in the same place that I do every year with a year-over-year upgrade. If you have a Pixel 8 Pro, should you upgrade? No. If you have a Pixel 7 Pro, should you upgrade? I think so, and there on back would be kind of the line where you'd notice a lot of significant differences with this particular device. The one thing I will say coming from the Pixel 8 Pro, I don't know where I land on it yet, but I do think that the Pixel 8 Pro feels better in the hand, feels more like a Pixel than this device. I'm not somebody that's going to go off on a tangent and say, Google copied iPhone. I know a bunch of people are saying, well, why isn't Google getting, all these other manufacturers when they do something that means it seems like it's iPhone esquification of the device, that people are saying, why isn't Google getting the same heat that you give other OEMs for that? And it's because I really don't feel that way. There's always so many designs you're going to have for a slab. The problem I have is when manufacturers make their software experience like iOS. When you have, the Xiaomi MIUI kind of copying even logos or icons rather, and menu settings and stuff like that. That's where I more have an issue, when you kind of make the experience like an iPhone as opposed to just the design. There's only so many of these designs you can have, but it is a different feel. It feels less like a Pixel. I'm not saying that one way or the other, whether it's good or bad. That's just something that I noticed. So when you pick it up, prepare for that. Overall, performance has been good, though. Let me tell you something you are going to notice right off the bat. Look at that. Did you see that? Normally, when I'd be doing this demo and unlocking this from behind the camera, I'd have to make sure I pressed it exactly or I held the press. No, the fingerprint sensor is excellent now on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, so the changes they made there certainly worked. Face unlock is still solid as well, so no issues getting into it. Modem is another thing that people talk about. I've had no issues taking this out and about. Good 5G coverages and speeds, no issues, no dropouts, no random areas where I'm sending messages and I'm getting errors and all the rest of it. So those things are working pretty well on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. So some of the big areas, kind of annoying areas, and they're not even... They're major things, but they're things that we talk about usually with Google messing up. They're front-end user experience things that you notice. They might not be major parts of the system, but you notice them because you use it all the time, and it frustrates you all the time. So those things matter. Fingerprint sensors matter. Modem, of course, really matters because you're trying to get that connectivity. So those things I think Google has nailed with the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Screen is good. You will notice now, so this is just a thing apparently, you're going to notice a slightly less saturated display on the Pixel 9 Pro XL from the Pixel 8 Pro. That's just the way things are going. Everybody seems to have more natural displays. It doesn't have the vividness slider. This is on the vivid mode or adaptive mode, whatever mode they call it, that kind of gives you a more saturated experience on the display. But if you're somebody like me who likes those more saturated displays, just understand it's not as dramatic as the drop has been on the Samsung side with the S24 Ultra, but it is a slightly less vibrant display than the Pixel 8 Pro. It's just as bright, though. It's a little bit brighter. It's really nice. It's nice to have a Pixel device that I can have on 75% brightness and still see it outdoors. That's a refreshing change from previous Pixel devices. The Super Actual Display is one of the better things that Google has done in years. Battery's starting to come around. Not quite to the point where I was with the Pixel 8 Pro, but Google seems to be one of those manufacturers where the phone, the learning actually does something. When it learns your usage patterns over the course of a week, I do see improvements. I have already seen improvements just in the 24 hours, 48 hours I've been using it from day 1 to day 2. I've seen better performance on day 2. So battery is going to be more something that we talk about as we go on with the week and the longer term reviews. Photo, same thing. What I really want to try to do is get more of the video stuff, because that's what people have really been harping on, the video not being up to par. Not that it's not up to par, just that it needs video boost to help, because of they're saying Tensor can't process, or it's not happening live, whatever the case may be. I'm going to be testing video a lot more than I normally would on a device like this, only because that seems to be an area where people are having concerns with the Pixel 9 Pro XL. And that is an area where, you could kind of start to creep into the conversation of, well, this is a $1,200 device, Tensor G4, why can't it handle the video that these other flagships can handle for the money? So if you're starting to build a case against Google, that's kind of where you can do it. So that's where I want to investigate a little bit further. I am totally okay with Android 15 not launching on this device. I am totally okay with that. I remember the Pixel 6. I remember the issues with Android 12. Give me something stable. Take the time. Get Android 15 right. So when it's over here, it doesn't ruin my phone experience. Because right now, this is a pleasant experience. It's a snappy experience. It's a good experience. Make sure you can continue that through with Android 15. Don't make it a case where it works well on Android 14 and then you break it. So I'm glad that they're taking their time. They're going to make sure. Give me something that's had updates for almost a year now that you know is stable and running well, to kind of ease me into my Pixel 9 Pro XL experience, and then kind of hit me with the updates later on down the road. Have zero problem with that, especially after a couple of situations now with Oxygen OS 12 breaking my experience on the OnePlus 9, and then, of course, Android 12 just completely demolishing devices on the Pixel 6. So I have zero problem with them taking their time and giving me Android 15 a little bit later down the line. Pixel Studio is pretty cool. Let me see if I could pull up an image that I had earlier. It's of my cat, or I made it. I gave it a prompt. It said, give me a black cat in a New York Rangers jersey, and this is what it got. But, it's just kind of, that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with those kind of things right now on the device. You're not dealing with anything high-level image-wise just now. I mean, you can do stuff. It is interesting that you could kind of type in stuff and do free-form stuff. So let's see if I could pull that up, and you can show you a little Pixel Studio. I was trying to see now it still has stuff to learn. It's not perfect. So I was trying to she showed me a black cat wearing the uniform from Star Trek 6, not that I was being specific there, the Undiscovered Country. So I gave it the movie title name. I gave it the entire title name, and it still came up with the wrong uniform. But it did give me a black cat in a Star Trek uniform. So I guess, 7.5, 8 out of 10 there on that one. But it's fun for that type of stuff if you're generating images, just kind of goofy images with your friends. Gemini Live is more interesting. It still has limitations. You have to have the volume up so you can have that conversation. I wonder if there's a way I'm going to play with it more that you can kind of see the text responses on the screen. That would be more useful if you could kind of talk to it and then it would type out its response. It does when you get out of it, when you end the conversation. It gives you the conversations as a text, in text form there, so you could go back and read the responses. But I got to mess with the settings to see if there's a way for it to just kind of live transcribe what Gemini Live is responding back to me. Because it is an interesting feature. You can still tell it's AI. It does mess up some things. It doesn't quite understand what I'm saying all the time. It has a tendency to loop. So if it doesn't understand what it's saying and I rephrase a query, it just kind of spits back the old answer that it gave instead of saying, okay, I really don't understand what you're saying. Why don't we try something else? Or I really don't understand what you're saying. Why don't you rephrase it again and see if we can't build out to get the response that you need. So AI is getting there. It's getting more impressive. I do like a lot of the stuff that they showed with Gemini. I'm looking forward to a lot of the stuff for the future to make stuff on the back end a little bit easier to use and a little bit more intuitive. See, that's what I'm looking forward to. We talked about it. I want productivity stuff to be more intuitive. I want my calendar to be more intuitive. I want email to be more intuitive. When I go into an app, I want it to have things that I should look at first. And is somebody's tone in a message different than it normally is? Even just in Google Messages, hey, you just got a text from somebody. Their tone is more urgent than usual. So normally when I would kind of just not even look at it, or maybe it's on the home screen, it kind of alerts me and says, hey, maybe you should take a look at this now. Those are the types of things I'm looking for from AI. And I think we're getting a little bit closer to that. So overall, listen, lot to prove here with Google. So far, so good. $1,200 though, right? You don't get the margin for error that you used to get. When this device was coming in at $800, $900, you got some leeway on some stuff. You got some leeway for Tensor not being as powerful as the other flagship chipsets. So that's going to be more of a thing. We're going to test gaming on here. We're going to see if Tensor can hold up. So far, so good on the heating. I haven't had the overheating, so maybe the vapor chamber is doing its thing. So there's a lot still out. The jury's still out on a lot of stuff with this phone, but I got to say, so far, so good. So if you've been looking to dip your toe into the water there and trade up from your Pixel 7 Pro or your Pixel 6 Pro, I think you're pretty safe doing that, especially if you're already a Pixel fan and you're just looking for the next generation. This is a good phone in the hand. It feels good. It's premium, nice display, nice performance. All in all, a pretty decent phone so far. But you know what? It better be for $1,200. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that delicious day.